I'm Becky, and this is my little buddy Charlotte. And today on the Hillbilly Kitchen, we're going to be making some pulled pork sandwiches. And they're a real southern favorite. There's probably 24 barbecue chains around here, and they all sell these sandwiches for $5 to $6 a piece. And they also sell the barbecue. You can buy just the barbecue, and it will run you anywhere from $10 to $25 a pound from these places. What we're using is a whole pork loin that you can get on sale at the grocery stores. Almost every single week, one of the grocery stores has pork loin on sale for $1.99 a pound. And this is a way better cut of meat than what these restaurants are using that they're charging you $10 to $25 a pound for. And what I do is I have them cut my pork loin between 3/4 of an inch and an inch thick, and I save all the center cut pieces for pork chops. That's a very nice thick center cut pork chop there, and we'll do another video on pork chops. But I take the end pieces, which don't make tasty pork chops, and throw them all in a pot, and that's what we use for our pulled pork. This is super easy to make. There's no need to pay the prices that these barbecue places charge. And because this is such a good cut of meat, you're not going to get any of those big nasty gristly chunks like you get at in a lot of those restaurant sandwiches. I hate that. And I almost won't even buy the stuff. Just kind of go through them, and any of them that have the veins through them, those are not center cut. Like up here on the other end, I guess this is the other end of it. See, we got some with the veins in it again, and we're going to use that in our sandwiches. Okay, I think we've about got it all. Oh, and somebody took a very short nap. So we're going to slide the rest of this aside here, and we'll put it in the refrigerator, and we'll make pork chops out of it later. Turn these on about medium heat, and you're going to season them with lemon juice. If you have fresh lemons, that's great. You'll probably want to use, for a pot this size, maybe the juice from 2 lemons. And honey. And we always use raw fresh honey. And honey is one of those foods, okay, just a minute, that no matter how old it gets, it is still good. Honey will never spoil. Oh goodness. Even if it completely crystallizes. And you're going to do, on this much meat, a couple of tablespoons. That's probably good. If you're one of those people like me who will let a baby taste everything, don't let your baby taste, or your grandbaby, taste honey. Babies cannot have raw honey until they're about a year old. We're also going to put some salt in here, and salt is always to taste in anything you cook. I'm going to start with close to a teaspoon. That's a lot of meat. We've probably got close to 5 pounds of meat in there. Onion powder, and I put onion powder on chicken, pork, and beef, so I buy it in a big jar. And this will get stirred up. It won't all the flavor won't be on that one piece. This again is to taste. I'm putting probably close to 2 teaspoons in there, maybe a little more, and I'll probably add more later. And pepper. And we're going to cover this Leave it on medium heat for at least 2 hours, and the moisture in the meat will boil and it'll sit here and simmer. Once it starts to boil, we will turn it down to medium low. Keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't dry out, and in about 2 hours we'll be able to tear up all those pieces of pork into smaller pieces, and then we will add some barbecue sauce. Now, barbecue sauce is really hard to find now because they have added high fructose corn syrup to it and monosodium glutamate. There are a few brands that have honey or sugar in them. Garland Jack is one, and Kraft has a special recipe. It's not the Kraft original honey barbecue, but they have a special recipe for ribs that actually has honey and sugar in it. So we're going to be using that today. It's a really good thick barbecue sauce, and our finished product will be better than those restaurant sandwiches. But we're just going to let this simmer for, like I said, about 2 hours. Once it starts to boil, we'll turn it down on medium low, and in 2 hours we'll come back and tear it up. Okay, we've had our pork cooking here for about 2 hours, and the only thing we've done for the last 2 hours is we came in here and we pulled it around and rotated some of the stuff that was on the bottom up to the top, just to kind of spread our seasonings and spices around. Now at this point, if you want to take out some of the bigger pieces of fat that are along the edges of your pork, you can do that. You don't have to. It's not really going to hurt it because you're going to continue to cook it for another couple of hours, but I like to get a little of it out, and it's not going to hurt it any at this point because most of the flavor from the fat's already in the meat. If you leave it in there though, you're going to cook it for so long that it's just going to cook up, and you're not going to get those great big mouths full of fat like you do on those restaurant sandwiches. This, like I said, is super easy to make. The only way you can possibly mess it up is if you let it cook and get dry. And if it starts to get dry before it's done, all you have to do is add just a little bit of water. But if it dries out, it will burn, especially with all that lemon juice and honey in there, and you don't want it to burn. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure it keeps a little liquid in it. We haven't had to add any to ours. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just take this spoon and I'm going to bust it up a little bit. And at this point, I'm not going to completely bust it up because as it cooks more, it'll get more tender and it'll just fall apart. But because I'm going to add some of the barbecue sauce to it now, I want it to start soaking into the pieces better. I did check the meat wrapper when I got Miss Charlotte settled down, and what we actually have in here is about 3 pounds of pork loin, and we used about 1/4 cup of honey and about that much lemon juice, maybe not quite, and then the salt and pepper and onion powder. Now if you like your barbecue super sweet, feel free to add a little more honey. If you don't like it sweet, which I don't know who doesn't, don't add as much. And we are using a honey barbecue sauce. And like I said, you have to do some shopping to find barbecue sauce that does not have high fructose corn syrup in it. I used to use just regular Kraft honey barbecue, but they started putting it in it. I did this year find this limited edition spiced honey for pork chops, which is about the same thing, and it doesn't have the high fructose corn syrup and stuff in it. So we can get this open here without dropping the baby. Don't want to drop the baby, do we? We're going to pour in, that's probably about 1 cup of barbecue sauce. And we're just going to let that continue to simmer. Keep an eye on it so it doesn't get dry and burn. And you want to cook it a minimum of 4 hours because you want it to be super tender. But like I said, you can cook it 7, 8, 9 hours all day long. You can't possibly ruin it unless you let it dry out and burn. So just keep an eye on it for a little moisture. We're gonna let it sit here and cook some more. And we'll be back in a couple hours and we'll bust it up a little bit more and show you what it looks like. And we're gonna make toasted butter buns and put this on it. So you get the taste that you would get at a really high-end barbecue restaurant, not just some old side of the road sandwich. So we'll show you how to do that too. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half since we added our barbecue sauce. And we did come in here a couple of times and stir this. And you can see Miss Charlotte's just dying to help here. We also, when we added the barbecue sauce, we turned it down on low, because once the barbecue sauce gets in it, the barbecue sauce can burn really easy. And we're going to add some more barbecue sauce and put the lid back on it and leave it sitting here simmering. We'll be back to check on it and show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, our barbecue has been cooking now for about 5 hours. And you can see it's done. It's all in tiny pieces. We've got plenty of barbecue sauce on here. And what we've done with our buns is we've just covered them in butter. And we're going to stick them in the oven under the broiler and let them brown just a little, which will make our sandwiches great. And you can use any kind of bun you want. Of course, the better the bun, the better the sandwich is going to be, but the toasted butter is delicious. And this 3 pounds of meat that we spent about $6 on will make 15 to 20 of these sandwiches. And it freezes really well. So all the leftovers, I'm just gonna freeze them and then we'll have them another day. This is really easy to make. Like I said, the only way you can mess it up is if you let it cook until it gets dry and it burns. Just kind of keep an eye on it and let it sit there and simmer, and the longer it simmers, the better it is. So y'all enjoy your barbecue sandwiches. Thanks for joining us on the Hillbilly Kitchen, and we're gonna brown our buns and eat. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.